Hey guys, and welcome to a new segment that I'm going to be making that I like to call Game Brain. So, while I'll still be creating the retrospective reviews that I've been making for this channel since I started, I want this show to be more for video game related tech tips or news reports for console games, PC games, all that kind of stuff. So when you see this show pop up in your subscriber feed, you can expect to see me do a quick feature or a quick preview or something of maybe a game console, maybe a new peripheral like the Oculus Rift. I might even touch on like a new PC mod or something that I've played or I've heard about and I want you guys to chime in on it or something like that. But in some cases I also want this to be a show that I can talk about like the actual software technology that goes into the games that we play all the time. Some ideas I had were maybe talking about different game engines and really illustrating some of the technical info that goes into our favorite games. So, all that said, for this episode of Game Brain, I wanted to talk about Nvidia's relatively new shadow play feature. So, if you're a PC gamer who's at all interested in recording your own game footage for, say, YouTube or Twitch, or to just save some of your favorite moments, then this bit of tech is pretty much right up your alley. Now, I did a lot of research into video capture utilities and hardware cards and such when I got started creating YouTube reviews, and I've been using Fraps for several years now, which is a software recorder that saves to its own high-quality video codec. It's a good program that's relatively cheap, but its performance can vary a lot, especially if you're trying to capture in high resolutions or higher frame rates like 60 frames per second. And any software recorder like Fraps or DxTory is going to be ultimately limited to sharing system resources with the game that you're playing, which is why usually using a hardware capture card that can offload that processing can be a more consistent method of capturing your footage. The trouble there is that implementing a hardware capture system can be really expensive. Well, back at the end of October in 2013, Nvidia released version 1.7 of its GeForce Experience program, which included the first beta of its Shadow Play utility. This program basically works like a DVR. You can either record footage manually, or you can set it to constantly record your game footage onto a temporary buffer in the background. Now this means that when you do something in the game that you want to save to footage, all you have to do is hit a hotkey combination, which is Alt F10 by default, and it saves an MP4 file of what you just did, going back 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, even longer. Now several factors make this really cool. Firstly, it's free. If you have a qualifying video card that is anything GTX 600 series and above, then you can download GeForce Experience along with your latest drivers and switch the Shadow Play feature on. Also, you don't have to worry about whether or not you were recording when you did that awesome move. Since Shadow Play is always on, you can always dump your latest moments out to a video file. The utility also records at a really high quality and at 60 frames per second with very little hit to your system's performance. All the heavy lifting, the encoding of the actual video, takes place on your graphics card using a dedicated H.264 encoder that isn't otherwise being used. Nvidia has stated that your performance should only dip around 5 or 10%, and that seems to be about right for my tests that I've run with Battlefield 4. I actually couldn't even really tell a difference. Finally, that footage that comes out looks great. It looks as good as Fraps at high quality, but of course a much smaller file size due to the compression. Alright, now for a quick tutorial. Just click the switch to turn it on and set your options. Now I want the ability to manually record and use the DVR or shadow recording feature, so I'm clicking this. Then, since when I do something awesome, I'll probably just save it right then, I'll just set the shadow time to say 5 minutes. That should give me plenty of time to do an amazing headshot or even a longer kill streak or something and still capture all those moments. I've got the hard drive space, so I'll set the quality to high, and in-game audio is really all I want. Now make sure your game is playing full screen or this won't work at all. So you can tell it's running because this little indicator down here. I've got Fraps on as well, not for recording but just to see my frames per second. And you can see that I'm still getting really good performance. So now I've been playing for a few minutes, let's say that was awesome enough to save. Just hit Alt F10 and you can see the indicator add an arrow telling me that it's saving the footage. Now after this game, I can add this footage to my edited video, for instance, and look at it full screen. And here are a couple other clips. And remember that these captured at 60 frames per second, so I can do slow motion without needing any frame blending or any other editing tricks. Anyway, Shadowplay is still in beta as of this video, but it's been working perfectly for me for several games, and I really like it a lot. I mean, it makes saving computer, PC game footage way simpler. It's less time consuming. It's less hard drive space consuming. So what do you guys think about it? Has anyone else out there been using this or experimenting with it? Also, I don't use Twitch myself, but I saw online that you can actually use Shadowplay to stream directly to Twitch. So I'd be interested if any of you guys have used this feature or not, and how well it works. Anyway, thanks guys, and thanks for watching the first episode of Dome Candy Games Game Brain. See you guys next time. Hey guys, and welcome to a new show that I'm making that I'm going to call Game Brain.